Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day.
The sound of the door crashing against the wall reverberates through the house. I almost drop the coffee mug I'm holding as a woman storms into my living room, her eyes blazing with fury. She clutches a pink lace bra in her hand, her knuckles white from the intensity of her grip. Before I can react, she hurls the bra at my face, and it lands with an absurd floppiness on my chest. "Recognize it?" she spits, her voice shaking with anger. "Give it to the bitch who slept with my husband." I'm stunned, my mind racing to catch up with the bizarre reality unfolding before me. At first glance, I think this woman must be crazy, a deranged stranger who somehow found her way into my home. But as I look down at the garment in my hands, my heart stops. The bra is unmistakable, it belongs to my wife, Mealy. I know because she has a peculiar habit of embroidering a tiny heart on the tags of all her clothes to avoid mix-ups in the locker room. The woman glares at me, waiting for a response. "Well?" she demands, tapping her foot impatiently. "Are you just going to stand there, or are you going to explain why this was in my husband's car?" "I'm sorry, but there must be some mistake," I stammer, still trying to process the situation. "My wife Mealy is, she's not like that. She wouldn't." The woman's eyes narrow. "Oh really? Maybe she just stole it from the locker room, huh? Is that what you think?" I hesitate, knowing how ridiculous that sounds even as the words form in my mind. Before I can respond, my phone buzzes on the coffee table. It's a message from Mealy. I swipe it open, and my world tilts on its axis. The screen fills with images, explicit, undeniable photos of Mealy and a man I don't recognize, caught in various compromising positions. Along with the pictures is a text that chills me to the bone: "If you suddenly don't believe me yet, take a look." The woman watches me, her expression shifting from anger to grim satisfaction as she sees the shock and pain on my face. "Now do you believe me?" she asks, her voice softer but no less intense. I nod slowly, my mind a whirlwind of emotions. Betrayal, anger, disbelief, they all crash over me like a tidal wave. I'm sorry," I mutter, more to myself than to her. "I didn't know." "Well, now you do," she says curtly. "I expect you to deal with this. My husband will hear from me soon enough." With that, she turns on her heel and strides out, leaving me standing in the middle of my living room, clutching Mealy's bra like a lifeline. I slump onto the couch, my mind replaying the images I just saw. Mealy, my wife of 10 years, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone else, has betrayed me. The evidence is irrefutable, and the realization hits me like a punch to the gut. For a while, I sit there in stunned silence, the room spinning around me. Then, a new feeling starts to take hold, a cold, calculated anger. I won't let this go unanswered. If Mealy thinks she can get away with this, she's sorely mistaken. I stand up, a plan already forming in my mind. First, I need to gather more evidence. I need to know everything about this affair: who the man is, how long it's been going on, and why Mealy did this. Only then can I decide on the perfect revenge. My first step is to check Mealy's phone. She left it charging in the kitchen, and I grab it, my hands shaking slightly. It's locked, but I know her passcode, an anniversary date she clearly doesn't value as much as I thought. I unlock the phone and start scrolling through her messages and photos, my heart pounding with each new revelation. There are dozens of messages between her and the man, flirty texts, explicit photos, and plans for secret rendezvous. The depth of their relationship becomes painfully clear, and with each new piece of evidence, my resolve hardens. I hear the front door open, and Mealy walks in, her gym bag slung over her shoulder. She smiles when she sees me, but her smile falters when she notices the look on my face and the phone in my hand. "What's going on?" she asks, her voice wary. I hold up the phone, showing her the messages and photos. Care to explain this? I ask, my voice icy. Mealy's face goes pale, and she takes a step back. I can explain, she stammers, but I cut her off. Save it, I snap. I don't want to hear your excuses. I know everything. She opens her mouth to protest, but I hold up my hand. It's too late for apologies, I say. You made your choice, and now you're going to face the consequences. Mealy's eyes fill with tears, but I feel no sympathy. My mind is already racing ahead, plotting my next move. She will pay for her betrayal, and I will make sure of it. First of all, I need to confront the man she's been seeing. I need to look him in the eye and see the person who thought he could steal my wife. And then, I'll figure out how to destroy them both. I grab my keys and head for the door, not bothering to look back at Mealy. She calls after me, but I ignore her, my mind focused on the task ahead. As I drive towards the address I found in their messages, I think about how I'm going to confront him. This is just the beginning. The real game is about to start, and I intend to win. The story of Mealy's betrayal has only just begun. But by the time I'm done, she will regret ever thinking she could fool me. And that man, whoever he is, will learn what happens when you mess with another man's wife. As I drive through the quiet suburban streets, my mind races with a mix of emotions: anger, betrayal, determination. I glance at the address on Mealy's phone one more time, making sure I've got it right. The man she's been seeing, her lover, lives just a few miles away. My grip tightens on the steering wheel, knuckles white, as I imagine the confrontation that lies ahead. The house is a modest, two-story home in a well-kept neighborhood. I park across the street, taking a moment to steady my breathing. The anger simmering within me threatens to boil over, but I need to stay calm. I need answers. I cross the street and march up to the front door, my heart pounding in my chest. I press the doorbell with more force than necessary, hearing it chime inside the house. Moments later, the door opens, and I'm face to face with him. He's tall, athletic, with a confident smile that fades the moment he sees the look on my face. "Can I help you?" he asks, his tone wary. "Are you Jason?" I ask, my voice tight with controlled fury. "Yeah, that's me." "And you are?" "I'm Mealy's husband," I say, watching his eyes widen in surprise and then narrow in caution. "Oh, I see." Jason steps outside, closing the door behind him. "Look, man, I didn't know she was married. She never told me." "Save it," I snap. "I've seen the messages. I know everything." Jason holds up his hands in a placating gesture. "All right, let's talk about this. There's no need for things to get out of hand." "Talk." I scoff. "There's nothing to talk about. You've been sleeping with my wife." "I get it, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen." "Sorry." I step closer, my fists clenched at my sides. "You're sorry. That's all you've got." Before Jason can respond, the door opens again, and a woman steps out. She's petite, with dark hair pulled back in a ponytail, and looks between us with a mix of curiosity and concern. "What's going on, Jason?" "Emma, go back inside," Jason says quickly, but she doesn't move. "I'm his wife," she says, looking at me with a steady gaze. "And I'm guessing you're Mealy's husband." "Yes," I say, my anger momentarily giving way to surprise. "How did you know?" "I've known about the affair for a while," Emma admits, crossing her arms over her chest. "Jason told me. We were trying to figure out how to handle it." "And you didn't think to tell me?" I ask incredulously. "We didn't want to hurt anyone more than necessary," Jason says, his voice pleading. "We were trying to end it, I swear." "End it?" You should never have started it, I growl. You both have destroyed our lives. Emma steps forward, placing a hand on my arm. Listen, I understand you're angry. I'm angry too. But we need to deal with this rationally. I shake off her hand, not ready to be calmed. Rationally? How do you suggest we do that? Maybe we can start by figuring out what we want to do next, she suggests. There's no point in letting this ruin our lives completely. Her words, though reasonable, only add fuel to my anger. And what about Mealy? I ask. What does she get for betraying me? Emma's eyes flicker with something I can't quite read. That's for you to decide, she says quietly. But revenge won't make you feel better. Trust me. I glare at her, unwilling to accept her words. We'll see about that. Just then, my phone buzzes in my pocket. I pull it out and see a new message from Mealy. We need to talk. Please come home. Perfect timing, I mutter, shoving the phone back into my pocket. This isn't over, I tell Jason and Emma. Not by a long shot. Without waiting for a response, I turn and head back to my car, my mind spinning with plans for what comes next. The confrontation with Jason didn't go as I'd imagined, but it's clear now that I need to confront Mealy directly. She owes me an explanation, and I intend to get it. The drive back home feels longer than it should, the tension in my chest building with each passing minute. When I finally pull into the driveway, Mealy is waiting on the porch, her face pale and drawn. She stands as I approach, wringing her hands nervously. We need to talk, she says again, her voice barely above a whisper. Yeah, we do, I reply, my tone cold. We go inside, and I close the door behind us, the sound echoing through the silent house. Mealy sits on the edge of the couch, and I remain standing, glaring down at her. Why? I ask simply, the single word carrying the weight of my broken heart. She looks up at me, tears filling her eyes. I'm sorry, she says, her voice cracking. I never meant for any of this to happen. Then why did it? I demand. You could have ended it at any time. But you didn't. You kept lying to me. I know, she whispers. I know I did. And I hate myself for it. But it wasn't about you. It was about me. I felt lost. I didn't know how to fix it. So you thought having an affair was the solution? I ask bitterly. You betrayed me, Mealy. How do you expect me to forgive that? I don't, she says, tears streaming down her face. I don't expect you to forgive me. I need you to understand. Understand what? I ask, my anger flaring again. That you were selfish. That you didn't care about our marriage. No, she cries, standing up and facing me. I do care. I love you, but I was confused and scared. And I made a terrible mistake. A mistake. I repeat, incredulous. This wasn't a mistake, Mealy. This was a choice. A series of choices. And now we're both paying the price. She collapses back onto the couch, sobbing. I know. And I'm so sorry. I watch her for a moment, my anger warring with the love I still feel for her. Despite everything, I want to believe there's a way forward, a way to heal. But right now, all I can see is the betrayal. And the only thing that feels right is to make sure she understands the pain she's caused. I need some time, I say finally, turning towards the door. I can't be here right now. Please, don't leave, she pleads. We can work through this. Not tonight, I reply, my voice firm. I need to clear my head. I leave the house, not looking back. As I drive away, I know this is just the beginning. The road ahead is uncertain, filled with pain and decisions I'm not ready to make. But one thing is clear, this chapter of our lives is far from over. And the next steps we take will determine whether we can ever find our way back to each other. I drive aimlessly for a while, my thoughts a chaotic storm. The late evening sun casts long shadows across the empty streets, mirroring the darkness swirling inside me. I pull over at a quiet park, needing to clear my head. The betrayal is too raw, the pain too intense. I step out of the car and start walking, trying to calm my racing mind. My phone buzzes in my pocket. It's a message from an old friend, Matt. We haven't talked much lately, but right now, he's the only person I can think of who might help me navigate this mess. I quickly text him back, asking if we can meet. 10 minutes later, I'm sitting across from Matt in a dimly lit bar. The place is nearly empty, giving us the privacy we need. Matt listens intently as I recount the events of the past few hours, his expression shifting from shock to anger. "Man, I can't believe she did this to you," he says, shaking his head. "Mealy always seemed so loyal." "Yeah, well, looks can be deceiving," I mutter, taking a sip of my beer. "I need your help, Matt. I don't know what to do." "Whatever you need, I'm here for you," he says, leaning forward. "But first, we need to get some more information. Have you talked to her about why she did it?" "She said she felt lost and scared," I reply, bitterness creeping into my voice. "But that doesn't excuse what she did. I need to know more about this guy she's been seeing." "Jason." "All right, let's start there," Matt says. "Do you have his number? Any details?" I pull out my phone and show him the messages I found on Mealy's phone. Matt reads through them, his jaw tightening. This guy needs to be taught a lesson. I know, I agree. But I want to be smart about this. I need to understand what I'm dealing with before I make any moves. "Good thinking," Matt nods. "Let's find out where he works, who his friends are. We need to gather as much information as possible." We spend the next hour digging through social media, piecing together Jason's life. We find out he works at a local marketing firm and frequents a nearby gym. As we gather more details, a plan starts to form in my mind. Tomorrow, I say, I'm going to confront him at his workplace. I want to see the look on his face when he realizes he can't hide from this. Sounds like a plan, Matt agrees. But be careful. This guy might not take kindly to being confronted. "I can handle it," I assure him, feeling a surge of determination. "Thanks for your help, Matt. I couldn't do this without you." "Anytime, man," he says, clapping me on the shoulder. "We'll get through this together." As I drive home, I feel a strange sense of calm. For the first time since discovering Mealy's betrayal, I have a plan. I know what I need to do, and with Matt's help, I'll make sure Jason pays for what he's done. The next morning, I wake early, my resolve stronger than ever. I dress in casual but professional attire, wanting to present a composed front. As I head out the door, Mealy calls after me. "Where are you going?" she asks, her eyes red from a sleepless night. "Out," I say curtly, not meeting her gaze. "Please, can we talk?" she pleads, stepping closer. "Not now, Mealy," I reply, my voice hard. "I have things to take care of." She looks like she wants to say more, but I turn and walk away, my mind focused on the task ahead. I arrive at Jason's office building just as people are starting to trickle in for the day. I wait in the lobby, watching as employees pass by. When I finally see him, my pulse quickens. He's laughing with a colleague, completely unaware of the storm about to hit him. I stand and approach him, my steps measured and deliberate. "Jason," I call out, my voice echoing in the spacious lobby. He turns, surprise flashing in his eyes. "You," he says, his smile fading. "What are you doing here?" We need to talk, I say, keeping my voice low and even. Privately. His colleague looks between us, sensing the tension. I'll catch you later, he says, hurrying away. Jason leads me to a small conference room, closing the door behind us. What do you want? He asks, his bravado from the previous day noticeably absent. I want answers, I say, stepping closer. Why did you do it? Why did you think it was okay to sleep with my wife? I didn't know she was married, he insists, backing away. She never mentioned you. Stop lying, I snap. I've seen the messages. You knew exactly what you were doing. He swallows hard, his eyes darting around the room. Look, it just happened, okay? We met at the gym, and things escalated. I never meant for anyone to get hurt. Well, people did get hurt, I say, my voice rising. You destroyed my marriage. I'm sorry, he says, his voice shaking. I'll end it. I'll stay away from her. It's too late for that, I say, stepping even closer. You need to understand the consequences of your actions. He looks genuinely scared now, his bravado completely shattered. What are you going to do? I haven't decided yet, I say, my voice cold. But you can be sure that this isn't over. Not by a long shot. I turn and leave, my heart pounding. The confrontation didn't give me the satisfaction I'd hoped for, but it's a start. As I walk back to my car, my phone buzzes with a new message from Matt. Did you get what you needed? Yeah, I reply, but it's not enough. We need more. Over the next few days, Matt and I dig deeper into Jason's life. We discover he has a history of cheating, a pattern of behavior that stretches back years. The more we learn, the angrier I become. This isn't just about Mealy anymore. It's about making sure Jason doesn't get away with hurting anyone else. One evening, as Matt and I sit in his living room, surrounded by printouts and notes, I come up with a plan. We're going to expose him, I say, my voice filled with determination. We're going to make sure everyone knows who he really is. How do you plan to do that? Matt asks, leaning forward. Social media, I say. We'll create a page, post all the evidence we've gathered. Pictures, messages, everything. We'll make sure his friends, his family, his co-workers, all of them know the truth. Matt nods slowly, a smile spreading across his face. I like it. It's public, and it'll hit him where it hurts. Over the next few days, we put our plan into action. We create a page, carefully curating the evidence to tell the full story of Jason's deceit. We make sure it's airtight, leaving no room for denial or excuses. The night we go live, I feel a mixture of anxiety and exhilaration. As the page starts gaining traction, the comments and messages pour in. People are shocked, angry, and some even share their own stories of being hurt by Jason. It doesn't take long for the fallout to begin. Jason's workplace gets wind of the scandal, and he's called into a meeting. His gym membership is revoked, and his social circles quickly shrink as people distance themselves from him. Mealy watches the chaos unfold with a mix of horror and guilt. Did you really have to do this? She asks one evening, tears in her eyes. He deserved it, I say, my voice hard. He needed to understand the consequences of his actions. And what about us? She asks, her voice trembling. What happens to us now? I look at her, the woman I once loved more than anything. The betrayal still stings, but seeing Jason face the consequences has brought me some measure of peace. I don't know, I admit. But we'll figure it out. As the days pass, the dust begins to settle. Jason's life is in shambles, and while my marriage with Mealy is far from repaired, we've started having honest, painful conversations about what happened and why. There's a long road ahead, filled with uncertainty and difficult decisions. But for the first time since the betrayal, I feel a glimmer of hope. The truth is out, and while the wounds are still fresh, they're starting to heal. And as I look towards the future, I'm determined to rebuild my life, one step at a time. Weeks have passed since we exposed Jason. Life has settled into a strange new normal. Mealy and I continue to live under the same roof, but the warmth and intimacy we once shared are gone. We move around each other like strangers, haunted by the ghost of our broken trust. One evening, as I'm sitting on the couch, my phone rings. It's Matt. "Hey, can we meet up?" he asks, his voice tense. "There's something you need to know." Curiosity piqued, I agree. We meet at the same bar where we first discussed our plan. Matt's already at a corner table, a grim look on his face. He gestures for me to sit, and I do, feeling a knot of anxiety forming in my stomach. "What's going on?" I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. Matt takes a deep breath. "There's something I found out about Jason. Something big." "Spit it out," I say, impatience creeping into my voice. "You remember how we dug into his life? Found out about his past affairs and all that?" "Yeah, of course." "Well, I kept digging," Matt says, his eyes serious. "I wanted to make sure we got everything on him. And I found something that blew my mind." "What is it?" I ask, leaning in. "Jason isn't just a serial cheater. He's part of a bigger scheme, a blackmail ring." My jaw drops. "What?" "That's insane." "It's true," Matt insists. "He seduces women, gets compromising material on them, and then blackmails them for money or favors. And Mealy, she's his latest victim." A cold chill runs down my spine. "Are you saying Mealy was blackmailed?" "Yes," Matt says. "I found emails and messages on one of Jason's old accounts. He was threatening to release the photos and videos unless Mealy paid him or did what he wanted." I sit back, stunned. The pieces start to fall into place. Mealy's affair, her erratic behavior, the guilt she couldn't quite explain, it all makes sense now. "Why didn't she tell me?" I whisper, more to myself than to Matt. "She was scared," Matt says gently. "And ashamed. Blackmail victims often feel trapped and isolated. She didn't want to drag you into it." I feel a surge of anger and protectiveness. Jason isn't just a cheater, he's a predator. And he's hurt my wife in ways I never imagined. "We need to take him down," I say, my voice trembling with rage. "I'm with you," Matt says. "But we need to be smart about it. We need proof, solid evidence to take to the police." "I have an idea," I say, the beginnings of a plan forming in my mind. "But we'll need Mealy's help." Later that night, I confront Mealy with what I've learned. She breaks down in tears, the relief of the truth finally being out overwhelming her. "I'm so sorry," she sobs. "I didn't know how to tell you. I thought you'd hate me." "I don't hate you," I say, holding her close. "But we need to stop him. Will you help us?" She nods, wiping her tears. "Yes. I'll do whatever it takes." The next day, we set our plan into motion. Mealy arranges to meet Jason, pretending she wants to talk. Matt and I set up hidden cameras and recording devices in the hotel room she books for their meeting. It's risky, but it's our best shot at getting the evidence we need. As the evening approaches, my nerves are on edge. Mealy is calm but determined, her fear replaced by a fierce resolve. "I'm ready," she says, giving me a brave smile. "Be careful," I say, hugging her tightly. "We'll be right outside." We watch from the adjacent room as Mealy meets Jason. He's smooth and charming, but there's a dark undercurrent to his demeanor. Mealy confronts him about the blackmail, and his reaction is chilling. He tries to deny it at first, but when she shows him copies of the emails and messages, his demeanor shifts. "All right, you got me," he says, leaning back with a smug smile. "But what are you going to do about it? If you go to the police, those pictures will still get out." "Not if you confess," Mealy says, her voice steady. "We have everything recorded. Your threats, your blackmail. It's over, Jason." He laughs, a cold, mirthless sound. "You think you can outsmart me? You think this ends with me?" Before we can react, Jason pulls out his phone and makes a call. "It's time," he says into the receiver. "Activate the plan." My heart pounds as Matt and I burst into the room, but it's too late. Jason looks at us with a satisfied grin. "You really think you're the only ones with a plan?" The hotel room phone rings, and Mealy answers it, her face going pale as she listens. It's a bomb threat," she says, her voice shaking. "In the building." Jason uses the distraction to bolt for the door, but Matt tackles him to the ground. "You're not going anywhere," he growls, wrestling Jason into submission. I grab Mealy, and we run for the exit, alerting hotel staff along the way. The building is evacuated, and the police arrive, sweeping the premises for any signs of explosives. It turns out to be a false alarm, a desperate ploy by Jason to escape. As the police take Jason into custody, we hand over all the evidence we've gathered. The blackmail ring is exposed, and Jason's accomplices are soon arrested. It's a complex operation, but with the combined efforts of the police and our evidence, justice is served. Back at home, Mealy and I sit in the living room, the weight of the past few weeks finally lifting. "It's over," she says, her voice filled with relief. "Yes, it is," I agree, taking her hand. "And now we can start healing." We talk late into the night, finally having the honest conversations we avoided for so long. There's still a lot of work to do, but for the first time, there's hope. A few weeks later, we're surprised by a knock at the door. It's Emma, Jason's wife. "Can I come in?" she asks, her expression serious. "Of course," I say, stepping aside to let her in. "I wanted to thank you," she says, sitting down. "For exposing Jason. It was hard, but it was the right thing to do." "I'm sorry you had to go through that," Mealy says, her voice full of empathy. "It's okay," Emma replies. "I'm moving on. But there's something you need to know. Jason wasn't working alone. There's someone higher up, someone who orchestrated everything." My blood runs cold. "Who?" Emma hands me a file, filled with documents and photographs. "It's someone you know. Someone who's been close to you." I open the file, my eyes widening in shock. It's Matt. My best friend. The person I trusted more than anyone. "No," I whisper, disbelief and betrayal crashing over me. "He was the mastermind," Emma says. "He used Jason as a pawn. And he's still out there." The room spins as the reality sets in. This isn't over. The true villain is still out there, and he's been right under my nose the entire time. Mealy squeezes my hand, her eyes full of determination. "We'll get him," she says. "Together." And so, our journey continues. The betrayal runs deeper than I ever imagined, but with Mealy by my side, I know we'll uncover the truth and bring the real mastermind to justice. The fight isn't over, but we're stronger now. Ready for whatever comes next.